Hello students, welcome to another episode of Exploring My City Through Art. This week we are going to be doing a little bit of like graphic design for a lot of you who love to work in that graphic element. Many times in the work that I've done would be paintings, we'll be doing two-dimensional, three-dimensional work, and this time we'll be doing two-dimensional, but we'll be using Sharpies and black markers to get repeated patterns. We'll be doing something which is a version of Zentangles. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but it's a specific kind of artwork where you have abstract little squares within 3.5 inches by 3.5 specifically. But we are adapting on that, and we like to call it here intelligent doodles. So we're going to be doodling with black Sharpies and seeing what we come up with. We are also going to put it into a shape. We'll be using the shape of our hands, which will be easy to trace, but our hands kind of represent us. You know, when they say your fingerprint, it could match one person. It's unique to you. Your hand is unique to you. And so it's representing that. We're going to be calling it all about ourselves. And we're going to also write a little bit about ourselves, like we're introducing ourselves to everyone. But I'm going to put it together in an easy and fun way, and let's see what we have. So first we're going to do a little practice sheet so that we can get into the flow of creating pattern designs. And you can come up with any pattern design you'd like. But here are a specific few that are easy to do but give you some really amazing effects. Some of them give you some three-dimensional effects that take you within the piece. So here's one. And you're free to do the ones I do, but then you can also do your own. But I'm going to show you some so that when you practice here, it'll be easy for you to do when we do it in the shape of our hand. Okay, so with this one here, I'm just going corner to a little bit out. And they don't have to be exact. Of course, you can, change it up a bit. Right at this point. There. Right at this point. Here. And then we're just going to keep going like we did before. So this point comes out a little further. This point. So it's like triangles. Over and over and over. And what happens is it just gets closer and closer and closer. And it gives you almost like a spiral effect. Right? It almost gives you that spiral effect. Good. And with these designs, intelligent doodles, you can go in and you can make things darker or lighter. Okay? So you can fill in areas. So I'm going to leave that like that. If you notice, when we work thin like this, it gives the illusion that it's lighter. But when we go in, we color in areas, it gives illusion that it's darker. Or if we go in with areas that have lines that crisscross or are close together, it gives the effect that it's lighter. Okay, so now let's try another one and see what happens. All right, now you want to do let me spiral. You are going to come up with your own. I'm going to give you a handout that has some examples. So, you don't feel lost, where to start. Because sometimes it might seem easy, but then you don't know where to go with it. So I did a spiral. I could leave it like that. Or I can darken the lines of the spiral. Now I'm using an ink pen. You will be given Sharpies. I have a Sharpie here. So we have the thick one side. These are thicker. I'd like thinner ones as well. The thick ones are nice for, because you want to vary the value, which is dark and light. You want to vary light and dark. So if I take this one and go over. Now, do you notice that I did not use a pencil first? You could, but I think it takes away from the spontaneity. If you feel like you're going to mess up, but this is your practice sheet. And I always feel like if I make a mistake with these, I could always cover it up. Like if I make a mistake here, I could decide, okay, well, I could make it darker. Or I might just want to make it darker so that it pops and it has a variation. You seeing what's happening there, right? So a nice Sharpie to work with would be the ones that have the two ends, the thin and the thick, in one pen. So you're not losing your pens all over the place. So I'm going to continue with this. You can alternate the lines. You see what's happening? I can go on and on with this, making it more intricate, leaving it simple, taking more into it, putting more and more emphasis on different areas. This is a cool one that I learned where you put dots. You're going to put dots, and then with the dots, you're going to create like almost like a floral. So it's like a petal and a petal, right? And then, you go off and you touch the different parts of it. There might be one at the end here. Boom, boom, boom. Mine are not totally lining up. Are you seeing what's happening? Mine are not fully lined up, but you know what? That is the fun of this. If it's not lined up or it's not symmetrical, that's okay. Just keep repeating that pattern. Okay, so I have one that kind of looks like flowers. Here's another one. Lines. Again, like a spiral, but I just have a dot in the middle and it goes off. You can decide what you want to do with that. I'm deciding to make these lines thicker. You don't have to. Seeing what's happening? I want to make these kind of curves, like almost like a web. And of course, you could have curled it the other way too. You seeing that? I want you to see how you can get these repeated patterns and how you can find more and more interesting things to do. And you just keep working with it. You just keep taking one thing, developing it to another. Let me see. I want triangle, triangle. I'm going freehand. And then I'm delving into that. Let's do a small triangle within the big triangle. Small triangle, fill it in within the big triangle. You're trying your best to repeat a pattern. So if you have something, you want to try to repeat it so there's an orderly kind of fashion as things go on. I'm going to put um, like a diamond here, repeating that pattern almost like a diamond. See, like a diamond in here. It's kind of squiggly, so it wasn't working for me. So I'm just gonna fill the whole thing in. Do you see how you can correct something? I was gonna put a smaller diamond in there, but I felt like it was crooked, or I didn't like how it felt. So you can change it as things go on. Don't think that, oh no, it's spoiled. Not too sure what I'm gonna do here, but I just continue. I'm switching my pen so I can have like a smaller line, a thinner line. Okay, so this design, all these designs are about variation of line, variation of dark and light, which is value. Okay, what else do we want to put in there? Part of another diamond that's going off the page. So it doesn't have to be a set pattern that you're copying, but you're coming up with things. Some are geometrical, some are organic, right? But you notice whatever I'm doing, I'm repeating it. I wanted to have some sort of order or format. Doesn't have to have all the same, but it's repeated. So I'm not just scribbling anything in there. And when I do something like this, I always want to vary it. Vary the lights and darks. Make it interesting, because you can go on and, just do one weight of the line. Like, you use this thick marker and you get one weight. The heaviness of the line is what we call weight. But then if you go it over again, you make it darker. Some areas you leave it thinner so it appears like it's lighter, or you go in with the thin one. So I want you to just have fun with this. This is just your practice sheet. You can do the whole thing, or you can do a few, and then we get into our next step, which is doing the tracing of the hand. But you see what's happening here? Okay, let's do another one. And you can choose any block. You don't have to go in order. I'm showing you geometric kind of shapes as well as organic. These are like organic. They're like waves. I'm just guessing as I'm going along now. Right? Any area that has some space, I'm going to put a little dot. And I'm going to vary the size of my dots. Intelligent doodles. So we're doodling, but the intelligent part is like seeing what can I do to make that square more interesting. So I'm not just scribbling stuff down. Intelligent is thinking about repetition, it's thinking about pattern, it's thinking about large shape versus small shape. It's thinking about geometric, straight, rigid lines versus organic lines. You understand? So have fun with this. You can go freehand like I'm doing, or you can use a ruler, or you can go pencil first if you really wanted to be precise pencil. I mean, I've done this for a long time. So you can do it in pencil first, and then you can decide to go over your Sharpie if you are afraid that it would mess up. But this is your practice sheet. Look how beautiful these are. Okay, so I did that. That's a pattern. And then we can add more things to that pattern. Okay, we can add something in there. More polka dots. but with the inside not filled in. Maybe I might alternate the dots filling in. Right? Maybe I only want those dots on one side. And then I'm going to do a line down these middle. Right? Get that one. And I'm just winging it, right? And in the handout that I'm going to include with this has some of those patterns, repeated patterns, to give you an idea and to help you with some ideas of what you might want to do. But when you start doing this exercise, you're going to see what's going to happen. I'm going to do like a checkered board, kind of alternate here. Sometimes if you're doing something and you're getting confused or you want to think about it, you can do with your pencil to see. I'm just going to wing it here. And if it doesn't work, I can just start filling in different concepts. Putting polka dots, putting lines. So if you feel something is not lining up, you could add another element in there to create that repeated pattern. So this is really fun for me. It's relaxing. I know a lot of you love doing these repeated patterns, love working in a graphic style, like the stock black and white. So look at that, right? Just going in and out. It may not be exact, but it has a nice feel of what's happening there, okay? And so take your time, go through these. Look at these that I've gotten, right? Go through them and come up with different patterns. You are going to try to practice as much as possible here, and then we're going to take it to the next level. Okay, so guess what? This one that I did up there, I did it a little wrong, but I don't want you to think about wrong and right, because this still looks like a beautiful pattern. So I really want your patterns to be repeated, but I did it here because I mixed up the dots. So the dots are not one on top of the other, they're alternating. Okay, so I'm going to do another one here for you to see. Let me do the dots larger in case you like this one and you want to see. So I'm just going to put 3. You decide how many dots you want going across. And what I did up here was I put it right underneath. It's not. They alternate. So I have 3, then I have 2. Then I have 3, then I have 2. Okay? And I could even put the dots on the ends because we're going to want to go off. Right? Now, because I did them alternating, they should line up. So I'm going to go right at the top here. So then you can get your petal to petal, petal to petal. That's much better. Did you see how mine was not lining up? But that's the beauty of these. Because I still like the pattern, but if you want it to be perfectly lined up, for this specific pattern, this is what you have to do with the dots. Right? Makes a lot of sense. So you just follow those dots, connecting the patterns, right? So I wanted to show you that, but I also want you to realize that sometimes all things are not going to add up, and then you can change this, okay? So since I'm here and I have two of the same one, I'm going to change one. I'm going to follow the shape, almost like a diamond shape, and fill it in. Look at that. So I make this one different because I just made two of the same. I just love when I put the darker value popped next to the light value. As you can see, some of the shapes are not perfectly even, but that is okay. You will make it your own pattern. Once you have a repeated pattern, it should feel like it's repeating in some way or fashion. So I wanted this one to look a little different to the one next to it because I wanted to show you the proper way of making those dots alternate instead of the first one that I did there. Seeing that? So I pulled out these dark diamonds in between and made this very different to this. Isn't that fun? I just think it's a wonderful way of creating. All right? And it's a wonderful way of, letting your art juices go. All right, what else? It just come up like I in your mind this is going to happen. What do I do? What do I do? Just start. Just start. So you put down something, then you realize it has to interact with something else. Never wrong with repeated line. Never wrong with repeated shape. Straight lines. Straight lines, different directions. Wavy lines, right? Could be left like that. But then I also like to pop some of the colors, make them a little thicker. So I'm going to go alternating. It's good. So just remember repeated patterns, one after the other, or alternate. So I'm doing a thicker one and a thinner one. Thicker one, thinner one. The lines going across, thicker, thinner. I can do more things here with the thin. My thin pen comes in with lines. Right? What about if I curve these lines the opposite way? Right? So much, so much. Alternating again. I want you to have tons of fun with this. I love this. This really makes me happy. And so you could just play around with this, fill all the boxes, take your time. Guess what? You could even go in with color as well. You can use color pencil, you can use crayon, you can use watercolors. I wouldn't go in with heavy, thick colors because you're going to lose a lot of the black lines. But if you go in with a thin wash of watercolor, which is a little bit of pigment and a lot of water, you can fill in some of the areas. But it'll be wonderful with just crayon or markers or color pencils. So we can do the color as well. Because our final one with the hands, we have a choice if we want to add color or not. And I'll show you the two, how they look. So that is part one. Please have fun. Be creative, explore different repeated patterns, and I will see you for part two.